This message comes from NPR sponsor Discover. Discover will automatically double all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. It pays to Discover. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. For the next 8 weeks, I am bringing the Smackdown to American cities all across the country to find out what are the most influential things and the most important people that come from those places. I'm debating who and what are the greatest of all time. Ooh. Some of these names you might know. Others are underdogs you never saw coming. But only one of these heavy hitters can walk away with the title of greatest of all time. Today, we're landing in San Francisco, California, the Bay Area. And our debaters this week are KQED's Pendarvis Harshaw, host of Right Nowish, and Olivia Allen Price, host of Bay Curious. Pendarvis, Olivia, welcome to It's Been a Minute.
Thanks.
Hello.
Do either of you know what you've gotten yourself into?
Not at all.
Really nothing.
You both look a little surprised and hesitant, but I will set the stage. We have 2 categories. We will each, the 3 of us, select a contender for each category. We'll each make our case, and then a select jury of NPR culture critics will determine a winner. I'm sure you're dying to know what the categories are.
Yes.
Yes. And how much research will I be doing in the next 2 weeks?
First, what is the single most influential thing from your area? We're talking about a cultural object. It could be a music genre. Maybe a food came from there. You decide what you think is the most influential thing from your area.
Yeah, it's obviously rice-a-roni.
The San Francisco treat.
The San Francisco treat.
Done. All right, next question.
Second category, who is the most important, influential person that comes from the Bay Area? Maybe it's a politician or an artist or your best friend's auntie. I don't know. But again, you decide and you make your case. There will be winners. There will be losers. And there will be surprises. Pendarvis, Olivia, I know the stakes are high, but no hacking into each other's computers, no trying to pull a Watergate and sneak into each other's offices, messing with the waste paper baskets. We're not doing that.
On my Girl Scouts honor.
Fighting fair.
Yeah, fair, you say.
I see you using the quotation fingers, Pendarvis. My eye is always watching you.
I believe it.
Penn and Olivia know the rules. They know the stakes. And I gave them 2 weeks to scour the archives, call their sources, and decide who are the most important people and things from the San Francisco Bay Area. Two weeks later, it's time to debate. And without further ado, our very first category.
Whew.
What is the most influential thing, any cultural object from a book to a music genre to a technological development that has come from the Bay Area? Olivia, you're up first.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. What are you wearing right now?
Clothes?
A button down?
I can see your shirts. What are you wearing on the bottom?
Shorts.
Oh, sweatpants.
I was hoping you were wearing jeans.
You thought I was going to wear jeans in this house?
I am wearing jeans. So for me, denim blue jeans are a part of like my daily staple. I probably have a dozen pairs. I'm wearing a pair right now. On my way here, walking through the newsroom, I counted like 15 pairs of blue jeans. It is a Friday, but that's pretty standard for San Francisco. And I'm not alone because on average, Americans own 7 pairs of blue jeans.
I mean, yeah, they got one for every day of the week.
Absolutely. And I think what's cool about blue jeans is they are for just about everybody, right? Cowboys wear them with chaps. Rappers wear them loose. Teenagers wear them low. Hipsters wear them tight. Barack Obama wears them and they're dad jeans and he gets dunked on it for it. But now we're all wearing dad jeans. So maybe he was just like telling us where things were going next. Like virtually any person, you can put a pair of jeans on and it just works. And jeans, as we know them, have roots in San Francisco with Levi Strauss.
Okay.
Story goes, there's a tailor, his name is Jacob W. Davis, and he was asked to create a super sturdy pair of pants for gold rush miners. Something that could withstand the hard labor they were doing. It's dirty, there's lots of tension on their pants, they're ripping and just tearing all the time. So he's asked to create some really sturdy pants. So to make these pants extra strong, he reinforces them with metal rivets at some of the weak points where pants tend to tear, like along the pockets.
Wait, that's why there's metal rivets in pants?
Yes, around the hips. It's to make them more sturdy, more durable.
I thought it was just to be cute.
I mean, it is cute. It's cute. I love it. But yeah, originally they were there for durability. And these pants are a hit. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're really comfortable. Almost instantly, people are coming back to this tailor to demand more pairs of these pants. So he takes his creation to Levi Strauss. Levi Strauss is the owner of a dry goods company who basically is supplying the heavy-duty cotton, aka denim, that was being used to build the pants, of course. And he says, hey, Levi, let's patent these. Let's mass produce them. We'll make a ton of money. And they did.
They're the blues that make me feel good. Levi's 501 blues. Love them blues. Oh, yeah.
And today we're at the point where in 2026, denim jeans are expected to be a $76.1 billion with a B dollar industry.
Jeez.
Now, what I would argue makes blue jeans so special, so transformative, and so uniquely San Francisco is I think it took sort of the special cocktail of time and place and need to ultimately give birth to them. And I think we might not have blue jeans today. If it was not for like that time and this place, we would be wearing something else. I mean, you guys are. You're wearing sweatpants and shorts. I mean, what do you spend more of your life in, right? Like as far as like things you were touching, when you wear a pair of jeans, you're in them for like 12 hours. Maybe not if you change into sweatpants as soon as you get home. But.
As soon as I get home, I'm in my Adam Sandler outfit.
I was going to say I wear indoor clothes.
Oh, man. I'm talking to the wrong people with this one. Well, somebody out there listening is a jeans fan, and they will be on board, I hope.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Dang, that's difficult to argue with. Pendarvis, you are up next. What do you think is the most influential thing from the San Francisco Bay Area?
I'm in the hot seat. Let's do this. All right. I'll start with the question. In this country, what's more influential than war? Let's look at World War II, one of the biggest wars. I mean, it changed the world, and Northern California played a huge part in it.
So
I mean, there's a lot to go on during that time period. We can talk about the atom bomb at UC Berkeley. We can talk about the Great Migration, which brought droves of Black people from the South to Northern California, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That influx of Black folks to Northern California led to the development of a group of Navy workers at this place called Port Chicago.
Okay.
Oh.
And that's my pick. The Port Chicago disaster of 80 years ago.
I've never heard of this. Okay, please say more.
All right. So, in short, it led to the desegregation of the Navy, which influenced the desegregation of the rest of the military and influenced the desegregation of the education system in America.
Oh, wow.
How about those apples, right? So, Port Chicago, if you were a crow leaving San Francisco, you would fly about 40 miles northeast, and you would end up just at the tip of the Delta heading towards Sacramento, right? In 1944, you have a whole bunch of young, mostly African-American men loading ammunition onto this huge war vessel. The issue is that these young African-American men were not trained properly by the Navy. On July 17th, they were loading this huge ship, a Liberty ship with 4,600 tons of explosives. That night, witnesses say that they heard something sounding like metal falling and then a huge boom. Eyewitnesses saw a fireball cast into the sky about 3 miles wide. Chunks of metal shot up about 12,000 feet high.
Oh, my gosh.
The noise was heard as far as Nevada.
Whoa.
The explosion killed 320 sailors instantly, and almost 400 were injured.
Wow.
The survivors knew that they hadn't been trained properly, that the Navy was at fault for not training them. Again, the Navy was segregated, so this group, mostly African-American men, felt that they were wrong, And 50 of them kept protesting, pushing for changes to how the Navy was operating. These 50 were called the Port Chicago 50.
Wow.
During a trial,
they were blamed and taken to court.
a young Thurgood Marshall came out to the Bay and worked as legal counsel and saying essentially that the Navy should be on trial, not them. All of this led to the Port Chicago 50 still losing, being charged, serving time. But all of the conversations around this, the inequalities and how bad it was, led to President Truman 2 years later desegregating the armed forces.
Recent events in the United States and abroad have made us realize that it is more important today than ever before to ensure that all Americans enjoy these rights. When I say all Americans, I mean all Americans.
This also set the wheels in motion for Thurgood Marshall's work on Brown v. Board of Education.
Wow.
So the Port Chicago disaster literally changed the face of America. And it's not talked about enough.
No.
And I want to just highlight that we love Forrest Gump, right? Which is Tom Hanks, another Oakland kid. We love Forrest Gump, right? But Forrest Gump wouldn't have been able to fight alongside Bubba in the Vietnam War if it weren't for the Port Chicago disaster.
Wow.
Penn. Well done.
Pendarvis, you've blown my mind right now.
Well done.
You have completely blown my mind right now. Well done indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not from San Francisco. I've only been a few times to the Bay Area. I am not the host of KQED's Bay Curious. However, I am curious as a human being. And all my curiosity led to me finding out what I think to be the most influential thing to come out of the Bay Area. It is wine.
Ooh.
Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Sadly, not drinking any yet. It's only 10:30.
Haven't had your breakfast wine?
Noon
What's
is
going
coming
on?
fast.
Oh, noon. I was going to say it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but you said, Olivia said noon. Well, here's why I think wine is so important. Without California wine, we wouldn't have wine moms. We wouldn't have wine o'clock, the hour that you seem to be counting down to, Olivia. We wouldn't have all those photos and videos of girls' trips to Napa. And most importantly, to me at least, we wouldn't have Lindsay Lohan's masterpiece, The Parent Trap, which took place in part in the Bay Area in Napa Valley.
Interesting.
There's a little more. I have some actual facts here, okay? I'm sure you're wondering how the Bay Area became the center of winemaking in the United States. Well, surprise, surprise, it all started back during the gold rush in 1848. So those gold miners were big on drinking, which makes a lot of sense in my opinion. They're like trying to dig for gold every day. You don't know if you're going to find any. You got to do something to ease your struggles at the end of the day. And demand for wine boomed. Prohibition eventually put a dent in production, but once drinking was legal again, a small group of determined winemakers in Northern California wanted to turn the region into a global competitor. They would spend the next half century trying to make that happen. And on May 24th, 1976, they finally realized their dream. So picture this: 10 wines, 1 blind taste test, 0 expectation that California wines could ever compare to French wines. In what was deemed the judgment of Paris by Time magazine, for the first time, California wines beat out French wines at a gathering of some of the most renowned wine tasters in a blind taste test in Paris. So Stag Leap Wine Cellars Cabernet Sauvignon won first prize, and the winery itself had only been around for 6 years. I mean, people around the world were shocked. Since then, California wines, specifically Bay Area wines, are just as talked about as wines that have been in production for centuries. This all paved the way for so many other New World winemakers from California to New Zealand to be able to competitively produce and sell their wines. And in 2022, California wines contributed $170 billion with a B dollars to the U.S. economy. And that's $170 billion of influence, I'd say.
Brittany, cheers.
Under the influence, huh? Okay.
Hey, we're all under the influence of wine. Whether you drink it or not, that money is coming in. Now, a jury at NPR has heard each of our cases, and it's time to reveal who they were most swayed by. Olivia, you chose blue jeans as the most influential thing to come from the Bay Area. Pendarvis, you chose Port Chicago, and I chose wine. The NPR Select Jury has voted that Penn has picked the most influential cultural object to come from San Francisco, Port Chicago. Penn, who are you dedicating this win to?
Well, thank you to everybody. I'm clearly dedicating this to the brothers who passed in the explosion and their descendants, and making sure that their legacy is heard. So thank you.
Oh, I love that. That is beautiful. Congratulations. One category down, one to go. When we get back, we're debating who is the most influential person from San Francisco. The Smackdown continues after a quick break.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Discover. It's good to share helpful knowledge, so here's a tip that could be doubly helpful. Discover will automatically double all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. That means you could turn $150 cash back to $300. It pays to Discover. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from BetterHelp. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's hard to make time for it. Prioritize self-care and make therapy one of your self-care non-negotiables with BetterHelp Online Therapy. Fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge at betterhelp.com/NPR. This message comes from NPR sponsor Bluehost. Try Bluehost Cloud, the hosting plan made for WordPress creators by WordPress experts. With 100% uptime, fast load times, and 24/7 support, your sites can handle high traffic spikes. Visit Bluehost.com. This message comes from Progressive and its Name Your Price tool. Say how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show coverage options within your budget. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
All right, time for our next category. Who is the most important person to come out of the San Francisco Bay Area? Maybe it's your mom, a politician, or an artist. Olivia, who did you choose and why?
Okay, so my pick is somebody who made San Francisco and America a safer and more accepting place for members of the LGBTQ community. Who am I talking about? Harvey Milk. We have an airport terminal named after him now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, recently opened in the last couple of years. He was the first openly gay man to be elected to public office in California. This is back in 1977.
Harvey Milk on his way to City Hall to be sworn in as a supervisor in San Francisco. At his side, his gay lover.
And he was one of the first openly gay public officials in the U.S.
It is well known that I'm a gay person, and in this state, there is a law that says gay people cannot be married, but there is no law that says two human beings cannot love one another. I have a loved one. Unfortunately, he is too nervous to be here. He left.
To be clear, queer people and culture have always existed, and they've always been a part of San Francisco, as long as San Francisco has existed. But I would argue that Harvey Milk took San Francisco's already thriving queer culture and gave the community a kind of political power that it had never seen before in the U.S. When he was elected to office, it made headlines across the country, and I think it made a statement that this is a voting bloc that will not be ignored. His first act as city supervisor was sponsoring a civil rights bill that outlawed discrimination based on sexual orientation. It passed handedly, and it was heralded as the most enforceable law protecting queer folks in the nation. Basically, it had teeth. Like, there were consequences if you broke this law, whereas some others in the country were like kind of wishy-washy. You'd get like a slap on the hand if you were doing that. And while Harvey Milk was sadly only in office for 10 months before he was assassinated, I would argue that he ushered in a new era of gay activism that has transformed this country. Now, while he wasn't solely responsible for these things, I do think he helped to get the ball rolling for some pretty big stuff, like In the years after him, the rainbow flag was created here. The first legal gay marriage took place here. And more recently, something that's been in the headlines a lot, Drag Queen Story Hour got its start here. And I think that these happenings in San Francisco have kind of spilled out and influenced the nation in ways that like maybe people don't always like see the connection between. But, you know, today it's federal law that you can't discriminate based on sexual orientation or gender identity. So I guess to summarize it all, like I think our country is a safer, a more hospitable place for everyone because of the work that Harvey Milk started. So in this election of influential people on this amazing podcast, I want you to vote Harvey Milk.
That's a tough one to follow, but Pendarvis, you are up next. Who do you think is the most important person to come out of the Bay Area?
Okay, hear me out on this one. I'm going for someone who is iconic, but often overlooked, and played a huge part in the most influential art form of the past 50 years. MC Hammer.
You can't touch this.
I'm ready to hear more. I'm ready to hear more. You got my attention.
Hammer don't hurt him. You can't touch this. Let's get it started. All of that, right? He was the first hip-hop artist whose album went diamond. 100 million units.
What?
In 1990, when you had to get up and go to the record store and buy a tape. Don't Hurt Him was sold around the world. He was one of hip-hop's first pop stars. And this is at a time when hip-hop, late 80s, early 90s, was being scrutinized, looked down upon, was like a fad of some sort, right? He caught a lot of flack for being a pop star. And when I say pop star, this guy had a Saturday morning cartoon.
Hammer, man, hammer. Whenever there's a crime, some crooks are gonna do time. They all better beware, cause the hammer man will be there.
A Mattel doll, commercials for Taco Bell and KFC. He had legendary dance moves that were imitated by Bart Simpson. And of course, I know y'all know about the hammer pants, right?
Yes.
I would love a pair.
Even his name, MC Hammer, is a very Oakland story. This guy was out dancing in front of the Oakland A's stadium, and to the point they brought him in to be the bat boy. So he's out there like working with the team and everything. And then this legendary baseball player, you might have heard of him, Reggie Jackson, a.k.a. Mr. October, is like, hey, you kind of look like Hank Aaron, another legendary baseball player. And Hank Aaron's nickname was Hammer and Hank. So they called MC Hammer, Hammer. And on the other side of things is that he started investing in tech. He was an early investor in this company you might have heard of called YouTube.
What?
As well as another one that you might have messed around with formerly called Twitter.
X now.
MC Hammer, let me hold $1, please.
Right. No, he's still active. I just saw a video. He's 62 years old and he's still dancing.
He's doing the hammer dance?
Hitting it.
I can't even do the hammer dance.
My hips don't move like that. So look,
No.
we know that hip hop is large, huge, influential. Without Hammer, who was looked at as a sellout during his time, hip hop wouldn't have reached the level that it's at right now. You wouldn't have hit stars like Nelly or Drake or even Meg Thee Stallion doing work with Planet Fitness if it weren't for the influence of MC Hammer.
He also had star placement in a poster on my bedroom wall, so that counts for something as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He's a kid from Oakland who went around the world.
That is a darn good contender for most influential person from the San Francisco Bay Area. I wouldn't want to follow that one, but unfortunately, I am up next. And I do think I have a very good case to make. I think that the most influential person to come from the Bay Area is none other than Miss Maya Angelou. Can you hear all the cage birds singing? Okay, we're talking about a 39-time best-selling author, speaker, teacher, activist, musician, dancer, style icon, poet, actress in a Tyler Perry movie and in Roots, 7 autobiographies, Presidential Medal recipient. What hasn't she done? Literally, her reach is immeasurable, right? Maya Angelou was born in St. Louis, Missouri, but relocated to San Francisco when she was a teenager. She would even go on to be one of the first Black women conductors on San Francisco's iconic streetcars at age 15. She said she did it because she liked the uniforms. Again, style icon. And when she grew up, she was friends with James Baldwin and Malcolm X and worked with Dr. King. She was in Hollywood, in Europe, on the continent of Africa. She was doing all sorts of things, okay? She's done so much. But here's what I think we wouldn't have without her. Maya Angelou maybe changed the way that we talk about ourselves with each other, right? Looking at The Caged Bird, as well as her 6 other autobiographies, she shared her survivor story and opened up about her struggles so that she and her readers could heal. Her story was radical at the time and almost half a century before the Me Too movement, which Tarana Burke, who founded the movement, said Maya was one of her influences. And to take it even further, Maya was also a mentor to Oprah Winfrey. And just by watching Oprah's confessional interviews, so much of her groundbreaking show and her interviewing style was about getting guests to open up and share their struggles so that we viewers could heal. It's why, today you always see people begging for, fill in a celebrity name here, Oprah interview. I mean, my brain right now, I'm like, Justin Timberlake, are you going to go on Oprah? I don't know. You know what I mean? But that would be a logical move because that's what they do. It's what the people want. So I don't know. I think a vote for Maya is a vote for sharing your truth. And I know y'all can't argue with that.
That is hard to argue.
Maya Angelou had her own quarter.
Okay, she had her own. She's on our money. Okay.
In 1968, she did work with KQED.
Our employer.
There you go.
Yeah, groundbreaking series, Blacks, Blues, Blacks. Yep, that was her series.
There we go. All right, so we have all selected our fighters. Pendarvis, you chose MC Hammer. Good one. Olivia, you went with Harvey Milk. Excellent choice. And I chose Maya Angelou / Sharing Your Truth. The NPR Select Jury has voted, and they decided, based on our arguments, that the most influential person to come out of San Francisco is Harvey Milk. Yes! Olivia, congratulations.
Congrats.
You're a winner. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just feel so honored for this.
Oh my gosh.
I'm crying.
Gosh, congratulations. And thus concludes the GOAT Games for this week. For all of you listening, you too can vote by heading to NPR's Instagram account and participating in our poll. And Pendarvis, Olivia, thank you so much for teaching us all about the amazing things that have come from your neck of the woods.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So fun.
That was KQED's Pendarvis Harshaw and Olivia Allen Price. Next Tuesday, I repeat, next Tuesday, in this podcast feed, we're headed to Birmingham, Alabama, which I ask you, how much do you know about this predominantly Black city? For example, did you know that of the city's nearly 200,000 residents, 137,000 are Black? Step aside, DC. Birmingham might be the real chocolate city. We learned a lot about the city of Birmingham, and I can't wait to share it with you on the next Smackdown. Next Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts. Last week, I asked you all about your favorite thing about the San Francisco Bay Area, and your responses did not disappoint.
Hey, Brittany.
Hey, Brittany.
Hey, Brittany. My favorite San Francisco activities are probably the Exploratorium and the California Academy of Sciences. I enjoy seeing the sea lions at Fisherman's Wharf, too, but I think those museums are a couple of the best ones.
The most transformative offering from the San Francisco Bay Area has to be OpenAI. It has transformed business, education, personalized learning. I say that, but I also have to mention, for second runner-up, Kamala Devi Harris.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Incredible responses. Very thoughtful. Each of them very different from each other and also completely different than what our guests shared today. So I guess it just goes to show that California really is the land of plenty because y'all have a lot going on that Californians love. Thank you all so much for calling in with your beautiful responses. As we close out August, what is getting you excited about the fall? Is it back to school, a new sweater, the possibility of going apple picking, maybe going through a corn maze? I don't know, but let me know. What's got you excited about fall? Record a voice memo about your fall fave. Make sure to tell us your name and where you're calling from, and email that voice memo to ibam@npr.org. That's IBAM npr.org. And you just might hear yourself on next week's show. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Barton Girdwood, Corey Antonio Rose.
This episode was edited by
Jessica Placzek.
Our executive producer is
Jasmine Romero.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, inflation is everywhere. So Mint Mobile is offering premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. To get your new phone plan for just $15, go to mintmobile.com/switch. This message comes from NPR sponsor Merrill. Whatever your financial goals are, you want a straightforward path there. But the real world doesn't usually work that way. Merrill understands that. That's why, with a dedicated Merrill advisor, you get a personalized plan and a clear path forward. Go to ml.com/bullish to learn more. Merrill, a Bank of America company. What would you like the power to do? Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, member SIPC.